Good morning, everybody, and happy International Women's Day. Welcome to another edition of United Way for Southeastern Michigan's What's the Word Wednesday, where we share important resources and have vibrant discussions about the topics that matter most to you. My name is Shayla Zimmerman, and today we are joined by three phenomenal women leading important work in our communities for a discussion and celebration of Women's History Month and International Women's Day. Women's History Month began in 1978 when a group of women from the Education Task Force of Sonoma County, California, developed the first Women's History Week. The first federal recognition of the week came with the presidential proclamation by President Jimmy Carter in 1980. 6 years later, the week was made a month-long celebration. It is so important that we honor women that have come before us, the women who currently inspire and lead us, and that we make space for women ahead of us. Women's History Month celebrates women across cultures, identities, and lived experiences that have contributed to the culture and history of the United States. We also celebrate International Women's Day on March 8th, today, a day for recognizing the contribution that we bring and the impact we make in our communities as women. Even our Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Department and Committee here at United Way centered and celebrated women this month. A few reminders for today's discussion. We hope to have time for a few questions from the audience, so please put your questions in the chat box on Zoom or into the comment section on Facebook. Closed captions are enabled in Zoom and Facebook Live. To turn them on, please click the Show Captions button at the bottom of your screen. I'd like to introduce you to our guests for today. First, we have Dessa Cosma, the Executive Director of Detroit Disability Power. And we have Kiddada Green, Founding and Executive Director of Black Mothers Breastfeeding Association. And also Shirelle Hogan, the founder and CEO of Pure Heart Foundation. Each of our panelists are recipients of our Pay It Forward grant. The Pay It Forward grant was designed in spring 2022 for women-led, equity-focused organizations as an unrestricted gift to celebrate and support their continued impact in our community. Everyone, welcome and thank you for being here with us today. Before we get into a great discussion, I'd like to give each of you time to introduce yourselves and talk about your journey as a leader in the nonprofit space. Dessa, would you like to kick us off?
Absolutely, happy to. Good morning, everyone. I'm really glad to be here with you. Happy International Women's Day to everyone. On the screen right now, there's one of my favorite pictures of all time. It's a very colorful picture of a diverse group of people at a mural you may recognize from Eastern Market. It's a young man holding a flower by the stem. And the quote that you can only partially see here says, they tried to bury us, but they didn't know we were seeds. And this picture was taken about 4 years ago at the first birthday party of my organization, Detroit Disability Power. And the banner that we're holding up says, "Interdependence is survival," by Naomi Ortiz. Underneath that, it says, "Disability justice is racial justice, is environmental justice." And besides the fact that many people I love are in this beautiful picture, I really love the sentiment of the banner we're holding up. It really speaks to the intersectional nature of disability justice and how we all need each other. We are interdependent with each other to survive in this world. So the next slide shows a little bit about the kind of work that Detroit Disability Power does. We are a disability-focused social justice organization that works to dismantle systems of oppression and build political power. We do this through a variety of ways. We do a lot of civic engagement and electoral work. We do voting rights. We work on making sure that Detroit and the Metro Detroit area have more accessible infrastructure so that people with a variety of disabilities can engage in and participate in all the things our community has to offer. We facilitate anti-oppression workshops with an anti-ableism focus. We have a lot of programming, including accessible dance classes, peer support, and a variety of events. You don't have to be disabled to join us. You just have to be interested and aligned with what we're trying to do here. And we also have a fee-for-service accessibility program called Disability Access Consulting, where we work with nonprofits, businesses, government entities, and the like to help them become less ableist in the way that they do their work. And on the final slide I have today, I just wanted to briefly uplift how beautiful and diverse the disability community is. We are a very large community. Here in Detroit, there's more than 123,000 people with disabilities. We are part of every single group on earth, every race, religion, language, citizenship status, sexual orientation. We are literally everywhere, and there's a lot of us. And that to me is really exciting. It represents a lot of potential for building power and for creating a world that truly works for all of the community members in it. And the image here shows that disability itself is very diverse. So when we're talking about disability, we need to think about how diverse our community is to make sure that we're meeting the needs of all these different types of people and not leaving anybody behind. So I'm happy to talk more about that later, but for now, that's just a little bit about Detroit Disability Power and who we are.
Thank you so much, Dessa. And I want to kick it over to Kiddada.
Good morning. Thank you all so much for having me. Happy Women's History Month and happy International Women's Day. I am Kiddada Green, the founding executive director of Black Mothers Breastfeeding Association, and I look forward to telling you about the work that we do. Our mission is to reduce racial inequities in breastfeeding support for Black families, and we do that by way of direct service, education, advocacy, maternal child health technology. And we really focus on optimizing the first food experience for Black families. And to date, we have serviced over thousands of families. BIMPA was born in 2007. Part of our direct service pillar really embraces our signature work, Black Mothers Breastfeeding Club, our community-based doula home visiting program, and our community breastfeeding and education program. Under our training and advocacy pillar, we have additional programs, and I'll walk you through some of those as we go through this. But our training and advocacy pillar really focuses on our Birth and Breastfeeding Leadership Institute, our community-based doula training program, as well as other conferences and workshops that we do throughout the year. We're really strong about our mission and embracing breastfeeding, and we do that through community breastfeeding support and education. The Birth and Breastfeeding Leadership Institute is a national institute designed to uplift community leadership at the intersection of racial equity and maternal child health. The BIMPA Bright Hub is our maternal child health technology innovation, and it's a mobile app as well as a web application program that we have designed to really move forward maternal child health outcomes while making the administration and hosting of parent clubs more easy, effective, efficient, and engaging. We are also the anchor organization and the founding organization of the Black Breastfeeding Caucus, which is a caucus of breastfeeding advocates who have come together to mobilize and move forward policies that really support Black maternal child health in public and private institutions. And we also have our community-based doula summit, which was the first community-based doula summit we held in a state of Michigan that brought together about 250 people. We look forward to doing that biannually now. Here's some of our annual programs. We're looking forward to hosting our open house this year. It's happening during World Doula Week. And I'm looking on my calendar. It's the last Friday in March. Please join us. I would love to see all of you here. And our open house is a family event. It's a fun time. Like, come ready to learn about our programs, get ready to meet our staff, our board, our families, but also plan to have fun. Bring the kids. If you're looking for a fun activity for kids and families, this is the one that you want to join. Each May, we uplift the mothers of Black Mothers Breastfeeding Association. And in July, that is when we have our annual conference. It's happening this year, July 26th through the 28th. It's the Motown Experience Birth and Breastfeeding Conference. Is happening at the Hollywood Hotel, formerly known as Greektown Hotel. But it's not just a regular conference. We really embrace Detroit. On day 2 of the conference, we take our attendees to different maternal child health locations throughout the city. So you can tour their sites, you can learn from their program participants and meet their staff and really engage and learn what is happening here on the ground and in the field in Detroit for Black maternal child health. I am also the co-founder of Black Breastfeeding Week, which happens each year, August 25th through the 31st. And August is just a robust month for breastfeeding. We really look to celebrate breastfeeding. It's the National Breastfeeding Month. And the first week of August is World Breastfeeding Week. Our Harvest Fest was really born from COVID. We were looking for ways to engage outdoors, and it just turned into this robust event that we close out our outdoor breastfeeding clubs with each year. And in November, we obviously celebrate Giving Tuesday. And you guys, we are looking for ways to join the Thanksgiving Day parade this year. So if you can support us in that in any way, please reach out to us. And we also have open stakeholders meetings that occur in April and November. So I'm excited to share more with you about women leadership and nonprofit, but that's a little bit about Black Mothers Breastfeeding Association.
Wow, thank you so much, Kiddada. That was a lot of great information. And I want to pass it over to Shirelle Hogan.
All righty, good morning, everyone. Again, my name is Shirelle Hogan, and happy International Women's Day. So I am the founder and the executive director of Pure Heart Foundation, and Pure Heart is a local nonprofit in Michigan, Detroit, Michigan, and we support children with incarcerated parents. Pure Heart was founded to interrupt systems like the school to prison pipeline system and to dismantle the perpetuating cycle of generational incarceration. And our mission is to embrace all children of incarcerated parents and empower them to break that cycle. Pure Heart currently is the only organization in Michigan with a full holistic wraparound service model, and we provide 6 critical wraparound services, which are mental health support. So making sure that our scholars have access to emotional and mental support is very critical, just from the emotional devastation that they encounter from having a parent incarcerated. Our second component is academic enrichment. So educating them, making sure that successfully they're academically matriculating. And just because 8 in 10 children with incarcerated parents have a form of comprehension barriers. The third component is family reunification. So 80% of women currently throughout this country are incarcerated, and 92% of men incarcerated are fathers. So making sure that our scholars can stay connected to their incarcerated parent is very critical. We do parenting classes inside of the facility to ensure that they are able to parent from the inside. We fund our scholars communication, video calls, and physical visitations to visit their parent. We do letter writing sessions. And ultimately, we just want to provide a space to ensure that that relationship can still develop, right? Our fourth component is our recreational and arts component, giving our scholars a sense of normalcy, taking them on scholar events, field trips monthly, and doing holistic activities as well. Our fifth component is our mentorship component, making sure that our scholars have positive reinforcement from people in the community that embraces them. And then lastly, our newest initiative is our Cycle Breaker initiative, and that's catered to scholars 18 to 24, because after our young people graduate high school, they still need that support. Sometimes the reality is, even though they turn 18, graduated high school, they still have a parent incarcerated. So we make sure that they have access to emotional support, financial support, and then economic sustainability through workforce development training as well. Pure Heart was founded in 2015. We celebrate 8 years of service this year. And since we started, 0% of our scholars have entered the criminal justice system. 100% of them have maintained an 100% academic matriculation rate. And we've also maintained a 100% high school graduation rate as well. And I am very, very proud of the scholars for doing so. This year, we have 245 scholars in our database that will receive support. And in April, we are launching our second site in Grand Rapids, Michigan to reach more scholars and families. Just to give you a couple of statistics around children with incarcerated parents nationally, 2.7 million children have a parent incarcerated right now. 228,000 children in Michigan has had a parent incarcerated before reaching the age of 10. And at 1.4 in 10 children had a parent incarcerated in Detroit, Michigan alone. This work is very, very critical in order to dismantle systems, right? And also give a very silenced population of young people additional wraparound support that they need. My journey as a leader, I guess, started when I was a young girl because I lived the experience of having both of my parents incarcerated as a child. So I lead from experience in after education and, being a person that broke that cycle. I felt almost obligated to make sure that people and children like me did not have to suffer in silence. So I am extremely grateful for the opportunity to present about Pure Heart today.
Thank you so much, Shirelle. It's always amazing hearing your story and your personal journey through the nonprofit world too. So, and thank you all for sharing a little bit more about your work. It is profound and it is needed. So thank you. Our discussion today is really relevant, as you know, because of International Women's Day, and the theme this year is embracing equity. Women make up about 70% of nonprofit employees, but those women often do not rise to leadership positions within those organizations, especially at larger nonprofits. And when we break that down even further, only 7.5% of nonprofits are led by women of color. And as in many sectors, women in nonprofits make 33 cents less per dollar than men on average. So as you can tell, we have a lot of work to do in the nonprofit sector to continue to make opportunities more equitable for women. And we're lucky to have you three here and many women leading nonprofits right in Southeastern Michigan. All of that being said, I want to talk a little bit about equity and embracing equity. So can you share with me, what does that mean to you in the work that you do?
Shayla, I'll be happy to share. For me, it means taking a targeted and accelerated approach towards racial equity, being non-apologetic about focusing on Black mamas and babies, because we know that there's a need there. We know that breast milk is critical to the health, development, and oftentimes the survival of Black babies. And for us, the targeted approach is important, but the other part of equity for me is the accelerated approach, right? Let's do more immediately. And we're really unapologetic about that. And we stand very strong in our values and our ethics towards that.
Absolutely. Thank you, Kiddada.
This is Dessa. I'm happy to jump in as well. First of all, I like that the theme is embracing equity, because embracing to me sounds like a hug. And I think hugs are wonderful and the world will be a better place with more hugs. But, on a more serious note, to me, when I think about what equity requires, it really requires an intersectional analysis and strategy, so action. And if we're talking about working to achieve equity for any marginalized group, it can't be achieved if it's not also achieved for all the other marginalized groups. And so, for example, if we're committed to ending sexism, but we're not also focused on dismantling ableism, which is the systemic discrimination of disabled people, at the same time as we're committed to ending sexism, then disabled women are left out. And we've therefore failed to achieve equity for women. And so this intersectional approach, the commitment to an intersectional strategy is extremely important if we're serious about like a comprehensive equity. And to me, the word equity necessitates that comprehensive nature, or it's not really equity. And so at Detroit Disability Power, we're really focused on organizing our community to solve problems for multiply marginalized people, not just privileged disabled people, but people with disabilities that are also LGBTQ or women of color, or low income or immigrants, all these various parts of the diversity of our very large community, so that we're actually uplifting all of our community and helping to undo systems of oppression that are intersecting with ableism at the same time.
I'll be very brief because both women hit it right where it needed to be, but equity, embracing equity, to me, it shows up so much in a profound way because the population that we serve is very, very forgotten, right? Unless you are impacted by mass incarceration in your family, you understand it. But if not, it's kind of an out of sight, out of mind type of mentality that people see children impacted by parental incarceration. And it's often, it's very, it's a negative connotation that even comes from the word incarceration, right? Because that's associated with a crime or someone doing harm of something or someone. But Pure Heart, we really hone in on the scholar, right? How is a child impacted? And equity means having a woman of color as the leader, also someone that lived the experience that can take up a space that we're educated enough about in order to ensure that we can break that cycle, right? So I'm just extremely grateful that I am in this position to lead an organization that understands intimately what these young people go through. And I think the beautiful thing of women being in leadership, especially embracing equity, is we understand from a practical and an emotional side, right? And that emotional side embraces the needs of people from a communal standpoint. So.
Absolutely. Thank you. Yeah, so what I'm hearing about embracing equity is accelerating equity, making sure that equity is intersectional, and then also leading with our lived experiences, right? That's really powerful. Thank you all. My next question, and anyone can answer this, is how can women grow in their leadership in nonprofits?
This is Dessa. I'm happy to jump in. I was thinking back on my career. I've worked in nonprofits for more than 20 years now, and thinking back to my younger days and like, how did I get to the point where I get to be the founding executive director of an organization that I'm extremely proud of? And I was thinking back to the things that made that possible, and I would say that really taking advantage of opportunities to learn new skills was really big, like taking advantage of the training opportunities, really working to become well-rounded in my field so that I knew a lot about different aspects of working in a nonprofit. And as my colleagues here know, being an executive director is no joke. It is a really intense job that requires that we be good at a lot of different things. And so like in the years that I was working up to this level of work, really learning in a well-rounded fashion was important. And getting to know a lot of people, really learning from people that I admired and helping out with things as a way of learning, like volunteering and offering my support on things so that I could learn in the process. And then finally, I just think we can't underestimate ourselves. We can't undersell how talented we are. When I look around, I rarely see men asking themselves if they're qualified. And all the time, women are like, I'm not sure I'm qualified. You probably are, and if you're not, you can get there. But just remember that like we've been socialized to question our skills and talent in a way that men really haven't been. And that's not serving us well. So we got to knock it off.
Yes, thank you, Dessa. Snaps all the way around. Thank you for that. Kiddada or Shirelle, did you want to talk a little bit about how women can grow in leadership? If you had any thoughts.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. For me, it's staying energized and motivated. And I find that the way for me to do that is to surround myself with supportive, positive, and uplifting people, including those people in nonprofit work who have varying amounts of experience. I'm really inspired by women leaders who are more seasoned. I'm inspired by women leaders who have similar levels of experience. And recently, I find myself most inspired by emerging women leaders. I'm just looking and I just have like these moments of pride and just watching them shine and seeing how they move and how they work and how they get things done has really been inspiring to me. And so I just believe like there's just so much beauty, reflection, and growth to be done when you're in a company of people who have such diverse ranges of experience.
Absolutely.
Really quick,
Thank you.
I will.
Yeah.
Sorry. Really quick, I will jump in. So my journey in growing with Pure Heart was very unusual, right? So I found myself in corporate America, and I grabbed onto this why, right? And it was to make sure that children of incarcerated parents had support. And I quit my job 8 years ago and I founded Pure Heart. And through that journey of not having any experience in the nonprofit sector, just having faith and a purpose, I made sure that I made intentional decisions by connecting with mentors in the nonprofit sector and, asking them to take me underneath their wing. And that's kind of been the motivation for me, right? Understanding that I have to be extremely skilled and knowledgeable in this space, but also remembering why I do the work, because like both ladies said, it is overwhelming. You do have to have a lot of skills. You have to be several people in one day. But if you hold on to your why and not move from that and never compromise your integrity, you can't rise.
Yes, that's really powerful, Shirelle. Thank you. And I hear you talk a lot about mentorship and a lot about helping women grow. And I think that's really important. Kiddada, I wanted to kind of go back to you about what are ways that we can promote other women leaders and lift other women in this work?
Thank you for asking. So as someone who's a founder, and someone who has really planted seeds and I've really seen them grow, and it's just a beautiful thing. I find myself often being sought out by other Black women leaders who are doing this work. And yes, I'm going to make the time to talk to them. And I think that's important. I also think that like informal and formal mentorships are important. But I also have taken on the responsibility and feel like I have a duty to somehow like document my experiences and learnings, right? And how to share that with others, because if I have it and I've experienced it, it shouldn't just reside with me. That's like selfish and it's defeatist. And so one of the ways that we've done that is through programming and the launch of the Birth and Breastfeeding Leadership Institute. And that has really been, like I tell people, some people write memoirs, like that's one way to do it, right? Some people write autobiographies, and I co-founded this institute so that we can support Black women who are blossoming and growing in this field and who are looking for additional ways, whether they're emerging, evolving, or established leaders, to really just get grounded, get going, and advance their leadership skills while supporting the community as well. So that's some of my advice, is to really think about what works best for you in your leadership, so that all the expertise and knowledge that you have doesn't just stay here in your head, but can be shared with others.
I love that. Thank you so much. Dessa, I don't know if you wanted to share a little bit about any advice you have to women leaders or how we can promote women leaders.
Sure. Yeah, real quick. I mean, I think about how much we can lift each other up. Sometimes in our culture, there can be some kind of, I don't know, weird forces that try to make us undercut each other or compete with each other, but I don't think that's helpful to us. I think it's really our job to lift each other up and be in solidarity with each other. And I also think that we have this amazing opportunity as women in nonprofits and as women leaders in nonprofits to help build a culture of work-life balance in the institutions where we work. And this is good for everybody that works there, especially those of us who are also caregivers, but really truly for everyone. And, the pandemic showed us that flexibility in most workplaces is not only preferable, but like extremely doable. People have a life outside of work. People have things that are important to them outside of their job, even if they're like us and absolutely love our jobs. But having a life outside of our jobs, having a family and those things doesn't mean we can't also be really good at our jobs. And I think that women leaders can help exemplify that and really help change the culture of work to be one that's more well balanced and more flexible so that it works for more different types of people and different types of families. And it also will make us more resonant with the people that we serve, because people are not one-dimensional. People have all these aspects to who they are. And if we can show up in that fullness in our work, we will resonate more with our communities.
Absolutely. Thank you, Dessa. So not only like bringing our full selves into the work, but also making space and making sure that we're taking care of each other. It's really important. I did want to, as we wrap up, I wanted to pass it over to Shirelle, see if you had any advice for young women leaders as well.
I don't have much to say because they literally hit everything that needed to be said. But if I could give any advice to any emerging leader, I would just say, stick to your why, right? If you know this is something that you're supposed to be doing, no matter what it looks like, no matter how hard it may feel, or no matter even if you feel lonely in that journey, know that if you stick with it, it can happen and it will happen.
Thank you so much, Shirelle. That was a perfect note to end on. Thank you all just for sharing your expertise with us as women leaders and nonprofits. I know I've certainly learned a lot today, this morning, and I continue to learn from amazing women like the three of you. So thank you. Before we close, I just have a few updates for the audience. So as a reminder, for anyone in the community who may be experiencing a need, our 211 helpline remains available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. This includes resources like food, utility assistance, tax assistance, and much more. We always maintain a running list of available services in the community and can connect you to the support that you may need. You can also look up the resources in your area by using our 211 resource database at unitedwaysem.org/211. If you're looking for volunteer opportunities and want to get involved in the community, United Way's volunteer portal can help. Our online portal lets you search volunteer opportunities that best match your abilities, needs, and interests. It even lets you set up alerts for the type of volunteer projects or organizations you care most about. We have lots of opportunities to volunteer in March, as March is reading month. So I encourage you to visit our portal today. It is free and easy to sign up. Please visit unitedwaysem.org/volunteer to get started. And lastly, our next town hall is one that I am very excited about, talking about residential water assistance. This takes place on March 15th. We'll have organizations share about their water assistance programs, including Wayne Metropolitan Community Action Agency, Macomb Community Action Agency, and here at United Way. To stay updated on our upcoming town halls and watch replays of previous town halls, please visit unitedwaysem.org/virtual town halls. That website is also included in the chat box. Thank you, everyone. We will see you soon. Stay safe and continue to live united.